Alright guys, I'm back. Alright, let's start this. Alright, so let's do a little Q&A thing. So give you a bit of background, you know. So for those of you who know me, that's going to be a very cringy moment. Give me that 2 minutes of cringiness, you know. I'm an experienced gamer. I've won many tournaments in Rainbow Six Vegas 2 to be more precise. I won tournaments in For Honor when the game came out, and then I won obviously tournaments in Dark Souls. So I have a lot of like competitive experience with video games in general. And as far as Dark Souls is concerned, you know, if you guys want any like tricks, any tips, or are wondering about anything about the game, I'm very knowledgeable about anything that's related to strategies, you know, weapon, all that stuff. So for all the newcomers, you know, don't be shy to ask whatever you want, and I'm gonna give you my take on it. Good at it. How do I roll murky? Help, please. Honestly, the best bet to rolling murky is to keep a safe distance. And also a really good tip, if say this bonfire was murky, if you get hit twice or you're getting chained like crazy, try to roll instead of rolling away from it. Try to roll to the side. The tracking for daggers is very narrow when they hit like this, so if they're lock on and you roll like this past them, it will miss. So you can get out of a murky chain by doing that. How can I get my friend to be better at the game? I tried dueling him, but he doesn't like to lose to me. Any tips on training him? Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think the best bet is to try to teach them about spacing and timing. And the best way to go about that, it's not necessarily to overwhelm someone with someone else that's way above their level. But, you know, let him fight other noobs. But try to make him play with some straight sword, some two-handed curved sword, or some two-handed spear, so that he can learn some like timing related experience, like can get some experience how to you know, make the other guy miss and then punish the other guy afterward. That sort of stuff. That's probably the best way to go about like learning the game efficiently. And like anything, you know, experience is key, efficiency is key. If you repeat something a lot of times, you're gonna get better at it, but you need to be doing it. But obviously this is a video game, you know, we do that for fun, so don't be too hard on yourself either. It's not worth it. Unless the murky user free aims. No, being even against the best murkies, that roll still works. What about Expo? How do you beat that? I mean, to be fair, like questions about beating Expo, Murky, PK, you gotta keep in mind these are the best weapons for a reason, right? But if you want to go about it and try to beat the best weapons regardless, like there's no like technical like counter to it, but you can still outplay it. Some of the ways you can beat crossbows, you know, Black Knight shield, throwing knives. You eat a bolt, you throwing knife away, and then as soon as you get in range, some pro tips. Crossbow cannot release its bolt fast enough if you dagger them at point blank. So they would have to guess it. So you can play around with that to your advantage a bit. But you have to be careful about, you know, some people like to hold their crossbow and then two-hand their weapon when you get in range, you know. You gotta be careful about that. But R1ing with your dagger and then throwing knife while out of range. Another good thing against a lot of the cheesy stuff that works against anything. A player that has, you know, good fundamentals and he's more skilled than his opponent, there's always the possibility of go in perseverance, roll catch, chain them. You know, perseverance is like the that's why I'm a big fan of perseverance. Perseverance to me is like the X factor, the thing that can counter like any cheese. Like if there's something cheesy in this game, eat the damage once, and then now it's like the it's my turn, you know, it's my turn button. You press the it's my turn button, and then you go in on someone. And if they're good, they're gonna dodge your attacks. But if they only rely on whatever cheese they're using, that's gonna expose them. What's your recommended to counter Gundyr? Gundyr is very easy to counter. Again, like a lot of people like think Like, oh yeah, but how did you die to Gundyr in this invasion? Like I say many times, guys, put aside the ganks. You know, if you're fighting a gank, anything that they have is gonna be hard to fight. You know, just the numbers, the sheer numbers make anything like very powerful. There's a lot more like broken weapons when they're used coupled, but I'm not gonna talk about that. But in 1v1, Gundyr is very easy to deal with. If the Gundyr was the bonfire, you know, walk to the side, walk or run to the side, run to the right side of the Gundyr. If you're getting hit on wake up, the bonfire is the Gundyr opponent. Roll behind them to the right, and then afterward, if you actually roll that one roll properly, you get a guaranteed backstab. So it's very misunderstood, and I feel like it's very easy to counter. So yeah, obviously, if you want a gear to counter Gundyr, I mean, Black Knight is the obvious choice. That's why I try to use Black Knight against gank. Because when you have two, you can't really manage to walk to the side all the time. But even then, you still saw in that few invasions ago, like I got what, like 3 or 4 backstabs on them just by walking to the side like that. So yeah, that's probably the best bet to counter Gundyr. Okay, let's see what else. How do you determine whether any two weapons have a bad matchup? Experience. And not only experience, like after you kind of get a feel of like how the game works. Like for instance, a weapon that is fast usually has a better matchup than the slower weapon. That's like sort of a rule of thumb, but you don't go about that. You really go into the specific. Like for instance, a lot of people don't understand that Corvian has a bad matchup with quick-step daggers and with PKCS, for instance. Like, why does Corvian have a bad matchup with PKCS? Well, it's very, very simple. They have similar speed. Corvian is a bit faster. They have the same range. But because they have similar speed, it's very likely that two players of the similar skills are going to trade. The problem is, if you trade a two-handed dagger with a two-handed curved sword, the trade happens sort of like as if the curved sword had hyper armor. Like, because what's going to happen is you both are going to trade, both players are going to get stunned, but because the curved sword has so much more stun than the dagger, what's going to happen is both players get stunned. The player with the dagger is going to get stunned longer than the player with the curved sword. So much so that the curved sword is going to get another guaranteed hit. And from there, so if we both hit each other, you know, both trade, and then like curved sword gets another hit, already there, that's like the dagger hit you once, the curved sword hit you twice, and on top of that, the curved sword is still on you. So you might get roll caught chain afterward, or roll caught. So you see how, like, from a simple equal neutral trade, the curved sword gets much more advantages than the dagger. So that's why the Pontiff Knight curved sword counters Corvian Great Knife. And the only dagger that does not get countered by a curved sword is going to be Harp and Murky, because they don't suffer from that same problem. If curved sword trades with a Harp or a Murky, you both get stunned equally, so you both are able to get out. So you both trade 1 for 1, and like on the next hit, it's again going to be at about the same time. So that's how you look at what's a good and a bad matchup. You have to take into account different way weapons clash. Or just like Halberd is a bad matchup for greatswords, because greatswords have hyper armor priority while they're already 2 slow weapon classes. But then you can say like, yes, but for instance, Split Leaf does not have that bad of a matchup because it has that weapon art cheese. You can go into like little details about each and every single weapon. But the big lines are, some weapons get shut down others with simple details. For another instance of that, one that's I feel very important, not a lot of people talk about that, Black Flame counters all hyper armor in this game. Black Flame has so much poise damage that you can, first of all, if you're wondering, what I mean by Black Flame is Parting Flame Black Flame with max casting speed. So max casting speed being either Sage Ring or 50 equivalent of 50 dex. So how fast Black Flame comes out with Parting Flame is about as fast as a two-handed curve sword like that, the initial flame. And if you hit someone in hyper armor with those flames, it's almost guaranteed gonna break their poise. There are some exceptions with really, really high poise stuff, or attacks that have a lot of hyper armor. But generally speaking, what you can do is you can initiate aggression against an hyper armor weapon and it's going to stun them. And you can initiate fast aggression because, like we said, it is a fast attack. How do I counter passive pyro when they flame spray constantly in a duel? That's a good question, actually. The main counter to Fire Surge, for me personally, for the step number one, like the pragmatic counter to Fire Surge, is to first equip your favorite armor resistant gear, which is this armor in particular. And mind you, look at how I have my armor set up. I have black iron just for that purpose. That's how much I respect, or how much I consider Fire Surge to be a threat. I have armor just for it, and usually I will even stack the Flamestone ring with it, and I will remove my Lord Shield ring because that will be useless. So I'll equip for a duel. Obviously in Invasion there's no point in going full gear for one person, but in duel I'll equip the full fire resistance, you know, get my fire absorption. See there, 44, it's a lot. Get it as high as you can, and then the key in fighting Fire Surge is in the movement. When you lock on, let's trigger this guy right there so we can lock onto something. When you lock onto, imagine this little dude right there is using Fire Surge. I always want to run to the side, and when you get in range, what I like to do is I like to use Corvian and go in with a running attack when they Fire Surge. You know, I'm like this. As soon as they surge, I go in for a running attack, and then from there, after I did my first running attack, the dude is gonna be I'm gonna speak about outplaying my opponent there. Like, as soon as I do that running attack, the dude is gonna think I'm gonna do a running attack afterward next time he sees me coming close to him. And that's when I start going with a roll catch timing. So say for instance, okay, he Fire Surge, now I stay close to him and I wait for him to roll. Okay, like there. Oh, he's not scared, there you go. And then I start attacking instead of just wait for him to Fire Surge, and then you go with the running attack. You mix it up here. Wait for the Fire Surge again, for instance, and then get close to him and wait for him to panic roll. Obviously, this is an NPC. It's not a real person. Those mind games don't work on AIs, but this is the kind of approach you want to have when you're fighting Fire Surge. You want to go run to the side to dodge the Fire Surge so that they need to unlock it, and you don't get hit by locked on Fire Surge. And then once you get to a good distance, you start attacking, throw and running attack. And the reason why I like dagger here is because daggers are one of the few weapons that have priority after running attack. So see there, like, that tactic can still work with curve sword. Problem is, if you do a running attack with curve sword, you might, depending on what else they're using besides Fire Surge, if they have a Demon Scar, it's not gonna work. Like, I'll have to do like one running attack and then I'm gonna have to back up. So sometimes it might not be worth it. But you can still condition them to get close to them and then roll catch them with curve sword. You can do that. But you could do that better with Cell Sword, actually. Wait for them Fire Surge, and then you can initiate aggression off that L1 because you have priority with the Cell Sword L1. You know, that's the idea here. You want them to miss with their Fire Surge while you're running to the side. Get closer and closer to them until you see them Fire Surge you at a good distance where you can go to the offensive. So you kind of trade one tick of Fire Surge or 2 ticks of Fire Surge to get some hits on them. But what you don't want to do is stay in the surge or run to them directly in a straight line. No. You only want to go and attack them when they get in range. Or you can slowly get to them by going from side to side like this and, you know, gaining some distance. You'd have to manage this yourself in a fight though. There's no like free way around it. Now there are other tactics, obviously that's just one, you know, another one. quite simple. Just fucking crossbow him from a distance, right? Or another good one, just use throwing knives, but the idea is to fight it with movement. The general idea. Alright, so time is up for the Q&A session. How did you guys find this? I thought the Gracies were pretty insane fighters. Oh man, they are. The Gracies are the real deal. Royce Gracie, man. I mean, no matter who comes after Royce Gracie, nobody will ever match whatever he did, you know? He was the first UFC 1 champion. One in an open weight class. For those of you who don't know, open weight class means there's no weight limit. So the dude who was like an average man, and still a tall dude, but not muscular by any mean, very athletic in terms of cardio, but he did not have any like physical trait of like the modern MMA stars. Yet he competed and won UFC 1 against fucking buffed up steroid addicts, and did it in fucking style, bringing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the table. You gotta respect the man. Like, people don't think I like Brazilians. Not true, man. Fucking, I love MMA, and a lot of Brazilians revolutionized MMA like crazy. Oh. Damn. I wanted to parry there. I was too late. See there, I delayed it. Big mistake. Okay, what I'm looking for here, no Thorns Gauntlet. Oh, Fire Surge though. So I'm rolling. No, it's not Fire Surge. Woo! Get out of there. Recast here. So my initial reaction after I got parried here, I looked for what was most threatening. So I saw one of them had a Pyro Glove. I assumed Fire Surge. So I took the only chance that I had at avoiding Fire Surge, which is rolling toward him to the side. It does not always work, but sometimes it does. And we're gonna repoison, because we want that buff. We want to your break. Okay, let's go back to the basics here. Try to separate them. Play smart. Just going in a 2v1 here, it's not very smart. And they're all like decent, you know, competent. So you can't, you know, take anyone for granted here. You know, oh, that's Bean, you know, see? I was about to say this dude has a good setup. Oh, it's Bean. I don't like my position right now. I want to go through and maybe try to get through them, get some help from PvE or whatnot. There you go. Alright, we went through. That was the main objective now. And now, since there's 3v1, we're gonna go through with the level. 2v1 I can manage sometimes, depending on my opponent's skill level, but even sometimes against bad players, 2v1 is too much because of different reasons. Could be latency, could be whatever weapon they're using, it could be like the ones before, the noobs that we just fought earlier. They had like spells that had like lots of damage, you know, Black Serpent with the tracking, kind of stuff I can't really manage with two people. Where are you going? I can hear someone close. Yeah. That's what I didn't want. That would have worked too. Dude, they didn't even kill that dude. They really just focused on me. Sucks that I only have 5 raisins. Only 5 raisins, guys. Oh wow. Surprised I didn't hit him. Oops. I was actually scratching my my hand. Okay, there you go. Let's try that out. Trying to see if Bean is gonna come. No, he's not coming. Oof, that connection. Alone for... How much time was that? That was less than 10 seconds, I believe.